Okay, so today we're talking about Scratch. This is our third lesson. The last uh, two lessons got us to this point. And today we will be talking about scoring and stopping in the game. So last time we detected whether the ball was moving up or down by placing it in a variable based on its direction. We used that variable to tell the ball which way to turn when it collided with a battle. Today we're going to add some scores and we're going to stop the game after a certain score is reached. Typically, that is 11 in Pong. So, let's get going. The first thing we need to do is we need to go to Scratch. And one of the things that you guys haven't learned yet, but I've done, is I actually signed in. Typically, there's a little sign in button up here, and it will save your work automatically, and then it'll keep your project so you don't have to do the file, upload, download thing all the time. And I do recommend it, but I do recommend that you check with your parents before you do that. All right, so if you remember last time, we had our script, we had our ball, we had our script, and it basically detected which way the ball was moving, up, down, so on and so forth. The ball starts in a certain area, and so on. And the first thing we said we wanted to do is we wanted to keep track of score. And when you keep track of anything in Pong that is not something that they already have, such as the X direction or the location or the direction, the position or the direction, you need to create a data variable. There is no up or down in Scratch, so we had to make one. And we are definitely going to need to keep track of a score, because why would Scratch have that? It wouldn't, because no one needs it. So we need to make a score, and the way we do that is by going to data and making a variable. And this variable we will call player1. And we will add it in there. And you'll notice it adds player1 over here. And just as we need to keep track of the player1 score, we need to add a player2 score. And there we go. And I'm actually going to move it over here just to make it look kind of nice. And I'm going to put this one outside of the paddle as well. And there we go. We now have a player1 score, a player2 score, and the up or down. And we could probably hide the up or down at this point if we wanted to. But that's up to you. So that being said, we have the scores, but we have no way to add the scores in. Now there's a couple ways we could do this. You'll notice if the ball is past the paddle, its X position has definitely changed. Its X position is somewhere around 220 now. So we could check if the ball was past the paddle by using its position. If ball position is greater than paddle 2, or ball position is less than paddle 1, add some scores. And that would be one way to do it. Another way to do it is simply to create goals. And I like this method better because it uses something we already know, which is how to detect a collision. We already know how to detect if the ball hits the sprite, the ball hits the other one. So we're going to add 2 new sprites, and we're going to make these goals. And I usually use the rectangle because why not? It's pretty easy, and I'm going to make these green just for the purpose of making this show. Now we could make these white if we wanted, and it would be easier to see. Now you'll notice it doesn't take up the whole thing, but we can again stretch it out so that it takes up the whole size of the screen. And of course, as with all things, we need to center them, although I did a pretty good job, I must say. But we'll center it up, and you'll notice it appears over here as sprite 4, and it'll save it because I'm on the internet. And we'll just put this sprite right like that, maybe a little bit up, so that it fills up the whole screen. And I have that one, and I need another copy of that. So we're going to duplicate that, and we'll put it on the other side. And you can get it all lined up. And now we have 2 green goals that look like they're mostly the right place. All right. At any rate, we now have some goals. Now all we need to do is add in whether it can detect if it's touching them. So if you remember, we had if touching sprite 2 and if touching sprite 1. It's the same thing. We just need a control to do the detection. So right underneath where it says if it's detecting sprite 2, we can just say if touching sprite 4, which is goal 1, we need to do something, and we need to change the player 1 score because player 1 is on the left. And we can duplicate this block actually, and you'll notice it duplicated the if on edge bounce, so let's get rid of one of those. And if touching sprite 5, change the player 2 score. And so now if we start, you'll notice that it does indeed increase the scores, but it does so a lot, not just 1 point, and it should really do only 1 point. And the problem is because the ball just kind of hangs around in there. There's nothing to tell it that when you hit the goal, you need to go back to start. So we need to add that in. And it's very simple. We just add the if touching, then glide 1 second to 0, 0. This is something we did in the beginning as well. So we can set that up. And now we should see the score only go up by 1. And it only goes up by 1. So we're okay there. And if it goes to the other side, it should only go up by 1. Great. Except you'll notice that when you start and stop the game, these scores don't reset. And so that's kind of a bit of a problem because we want to have a new score every time we do it. You'll notice the ball is pretty busy now. We got a script that is pretty long and might be pretty hard to take care of. So I'm going to actually write this script on sprite 4 because it doesn't really matter where we put it. And so when the event of the flag being clicked, I want to set the score back to 0. So I'm going to set these under here, set player 1 to 0, and set player 2 to 0. And I just put it here because the ball is too cluttered. It doesn't really matter where we put it. It can go anywhere. And you see it resets the score to 0. All right. So the next thing we have to do is we actually have to stop the game when the score hits 11. And we can do that anywhere, actually. The command we're going to use is a control called stop all. It's right there. We only have to detect when to stop it. And I'm going to also put this in the goal script because, you know, it's not as busy as, say, the ball script. So we could do this a couple of different ways. We could use a forever statement, forever if player 1 score is 11, or if player 2 score is 11, then stop the game. But I'm going to use this one called wait until. And because it will just sit there and it'll look, it kind of makes it a lot cleaner for us. If we used a forever, we'd have to go forever if player 1 score equals 11, then if player 2 score equals 11, and do all that kind of stuff, and it would get really busy. So I'm just going to use the wait until, and I'm going to say player 1 score equals or player 2 score equals. So we're going to need 2 equal signs in here. And I'm going to check on my player 1 score. So if player 1 equals 11, and if player 2 equals 11. And I'm actually going to change these to 3 just so that you can see how it works. But in yours, you'll probably want to change it to 11 or 7 or whatever you want to. So it'll just kind of sit here until one of these two is true, and then it'll go on to do something else. And so the something else that I'm going to do first is called a stop all statement. And you'll notice there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and it stopped. You'll notice the stop sign lit up. That's great and all, but it doesn't tell me who won, and I want it to actually announce. I mean, obviously we can see player 1 won, but I want it to announce it. So I'm going to add one more little feature that you guys haven't encountered yet, and that is called a backdrop. And the way we do that is we create a background to let us know what's kind of going on. We can add some backgrounds. We could also add a sprite and just show it. There's multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to do the backdrop just because it's something you haven't done yet. So what we do is we paint a new backdrop, and you'll notice when we do that, there's the stage and there's 2 backdrops, our default backdrop and backdrop 2. And all I'm going to do is add some text in there, and I'm going to actually make this blue. Oh, Let's do it red. Why not? And I'm going to type in player 1 wins. And I'm going to move it here and resize it a bit because I do have to make in some space for the little graphics there. And obviously it's not going to take up the whole thing because the ball and paddles would be in the way. So I'm going to do player 1 wins. And when I do that, we get player 1 wins, and it's there. And we have it. So I can do this. I can also duplicate this. And you'll see I have backdrop 3. And I'm going to erase the player 1. And I'm going to add a little bit of text. And I'm going to call this 2. And of course, we can move it around and make it the right size so that it actually looks kind of proper. Player 2 wins. So now I have 2 backdrops and I can name them. This one is going to be player 2 wins. And this one will be player 1 wins. And this one I'm going to just name blank. So if I go back to my script here, it says wait until player 1 equals 3, player 2 equals 3, and I can just add an if then else. So we can change the backdrop. You notice right now it actually is set to player 2, so we actually need to reset that before when we stop here. And the way we can do that is we can go to our looks. The backdrop is a look. And at the beginning, again, we can set it to blank so that it goes to blank. And then it'll go through. Then we wait until we have a score that's winning. And if player 1, we'll pick one, it doesn't matter. If player 1 is equal to 3 points, then the look we want is obviously switch the backdrop to player 1 wins. Otherwise, switch the backdrop to player 2 wins. And that's it. That's all we have to do to add a little bit more to our game. And so 1, 2, and of course I'm using 3. You might want to use 11 because that's a normal game of Pong if you go look at it. And that's it. And we have just now finished and created a whole game of Pong. So I encourage you to do some other features, maybe add some sounds in for when it hits the paddle. I don't know of any other sounds, but you can always make your own sounds. And you could also play the drums or an instrument or do whatever you want. So there's the meow sound for you. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do, lots of things you can play with, and I hope you've enjoyed this video and you now have a working Pong game. Try it out with your friend and see who can win. You can do things like speed up the speed of the ball if you want. So we can go up to our ball here, and instead of moving 10 steps, we can move 15, and that'll make the ball move really fast. And if you're playing with a 2-player, it'll be a bit harder to keep track of and estimate where the ball's moving and so on. So, and if you want to go crazy now, you can throw something like 25 in and see how that works for you. Oh my God. Very hard. So there's a lot you can do. I encourage you to go play with it. Make it a little bit more difficult. You might be able to move the paddles in a little bit, maybe limit them, something like that. Lots of stuff, lots of options. You have a good understanding of Scratch now, at least you should. And when we come back, we'll be learning some other games to program. So congratulations, you now have a working Pong game.